Well, did you think about that before you moved here? Well, no. Well, now that you live here, should you have? Probably. You know.
Hey, Remarkable Lifers, this is Craig.
And this is KJ, and today we are coming to you to talk about 7 things you might need to consider before moving to Mexico.
Yes. But something came to mind today that made us go, hey, we might want to put all of these in one.
Well,
give it a little greater punch.
It was really actually this whole week. So a few days ago, we were out visiting some friends, and we were actually doing a collaborative video with them, be coming up soon. And it got us thinking about, and something that they're getting a lot from their customers and whatnot. And then today, we actually, we're hanging out working with some friends, and they're embarking on this big project. You guys will find out about this soon enough.
Kind of exciting, actually.
It really is. It's really, really cool. But some other topics came up, and, you know, things that it's like, well, did you think about that before you moved here? Well, no. Well, now that you live here, should you have? Probably. You know, but it's some of it's big, obvious things, but some of it's a little obscure. So
what is it?
So 7? Number 1, so there's 7. There's 7 things that we want to talk about. And I'll just jump into number 1.
Okay, go.
So number 1, healthcare. So this is such a personal thing, okay? There's a lot of opinions. People get really crazy about it. I'm not getting into all that.
No.
Your healthcare is a very personal choice. It's your decision. You do, you boo. You have different healthcare systems here in Mexico, and that is changing. Claudia Sheinbaum has announced her government's going to be doing some consolidation and stuff and opening some stuff up. I haven't really dug into that to do a lot of research on what that's going to look like for residents. And I don't even know that they've announced a lot of it. But the one thing that's not going to change is the private healthcare system.
Yeah.
And it's pay as you go, or you can get private healthcare insurance. You can pay for private healthcare insurance. It's think U.S. insurance before Obamacare, before the Affordable Care Act. There are exclusions and pre-existing conditions and every way you can think of for them not to pay.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a thing. But the private healthcare insurance, if y'all have watched our videos for a long time, go back to the one when I had my gallbladder removal. So it's extremely affordable to pay for a lot of this stuff out of pocket. But if that's what you're going to be doing, what you really need to think about is having a savings account.
Yes. You're going to want to have an emergency fund. No matter if you come here with a lot of money or a little money, if you qualify to come here, then you're going to need to make sure you have something on reserve. You don't know what's going to happen. God willing, we're all perfectly healthy, but that's not always the case.
Right. I mean, the last thing that you want is you sink all of your money, you buy a house and you sink all of your money, all of your liquid money into that house, and then you're down there for a few months, and then something major happens with your health and you've got to come up with a few $1,000 all at once. Don't put yourself in that position.
Yeah, and we've known people who have come here and ended up having to return because of medical care issues and had to go back to the States for their insurance or for, Medicare.
Medicaid. Yeah.
And so, it is a consideration, and you need to understand what your thresholds are, what your health situation is, what's likely to happen, and what's likely to happen in the event of an emergency.
And what risks are you willing to take?
Yeah. That's exactly it.
That's why it's such a personal decision. I will say that there is now in Jalisco, there is a state, public healthcare option. And we actually signed up for it. And it was very easy to sign up for. We did that for some sort of catastrophic, crazy emergency situation where, like, if we're out in the car and we are involved in a car accident and we're unconscious, you know what I mean? It's something that's there, but it's not
we can't control. At that point, you won't be able to control and say, hey, take me to this doctor, this hospital, this place. You just end up where you're ending up. Yeah. And you want to make sure, it's a precaution. For us, we kind of believe in if we can pay for it, we need to pay for it.
Yep.
We're guests
don't take resources away from people who can't afford something better that you can afford.
Yeah. So again, it's an emergency situation that we hope we never have to use. But it is there, and the Jalisco government does say that you are eligible. And they kind of encourage it. They do encourage it. And I think that's probably mostly for headcount reasons or funding reasons. That we need to know how many people are here so we know how much money to fund it.
Yeah, but think about it from this perspective. Think about it from this perspective.
There's also a shift in the train of thought that in the States and other countries, sometimes healthcare is a privilege, whereas that's not how other countries see it. They see it as a right.
Yeah.
If you are physically in their country, it is your right to have healthcare. And so again, we're not going to plan on abusing it or using it. But that's a difference in how it's viewed.
So number 2, income and budgeting, which we know people talk about that. And we know that if you're thinking about moving to Mexico, you've been talking about income and budgeting. But what the aspect of that is that we didn't really think about a whole lot and is really, really, really pertinent in today's world, sustainability.
Yeah, over time. What is the economy and your economy and their economy and blah, blah, blah. What is all that going to do over time?
Yeah, because, I mean, we moved here 3.5 going on 4 years ago, and inflation has been insane.
And we've seen fluctuations in the exchange rate
for
the U.S. dollar and pesos. That's as much as what, 20%, 25%?
Well, I don't know about 25%, but it's been a lot.
It's gone from 16 to 21.
We've seen it go from 16 to 21. I mean, and that's huge. So think about the sustainability of your budget. If you are on some sort of a fixed U.S. dollar income, that does not change over time, if you're not getting some sort of a bump up or whatever, you need to factor that in. Yeah. And there are ways to mitigate some of that. So depending on where you go in Mexico, every place is completely different. It's a huge country. But here in the Ajijic area, there's a significant amount of people who are renting properties here, and you can negotiate your lease in U.S. dollars.
We even know of a Mexican who pays their rent in U.S. dollars. Yeah. They pay it in pesos, but they have to translate that money.
Yeah.
So it's not just us.
Yeah, because there are investors here who own properties that are rented out that are U.S. citizens. There's also some Mexicans who own properties here, but they have dual nationality or whatever and have bank accounts in the U.S. And you can Zelle or Venmo or whatever them U.S. dollars for your monthly rent. So that's something, if you are on a fixed income budget that's in U.S. dollars and you can get your lease negotiated in dollars, currency fluctuations will not impact you.
Yeah.
From a housing expense perspective.
And this can apply to Canadian dollars as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's a Canadian owner and they prefer Canadian, rates, then you might have that as well.
Yeah.
So, but there's also other things that really can impact that, like making sure that you understand where the best places to shop to get the best deals. If you just come down here and buy everything at the import stores, you're going to spend a lot more money than if you go to a local tienda or carniceria and buy things direct from, the farmer or direct from the fruit grower. So those things can make a big difference, as well as having that reserve, having that backup of money. What are you going to do in the event that things tank and you're running low on money? Do you have some way to pay it?
Absolutely. So moving on to number 3, family and friends. So obviously, if you're moving to Mexico, that's one of the things that's on a lot of people's mind. Am I going to miss my family? Am I going to miss my friends?
Yes, you will.
Well, the funny thing is, we were having a conversation today with some friends who were here, and we were talking about how all of us, when we move down here, we have to have a house, and it has to have a guest room, and it has to, or 2 guest room, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, because everyone that we know has promised they're going to come down here and visit us.
Yes.
Let me assure you, after living here for 3.5, 4 years, the number of guests that you get coming down here to visit you is nowhere near what you think it will be.
No.
So,
and we understand. Life happens, and sometimes people don't. They want to come, but they can't, or something like that. But the intention is always better than the reality.
Oh, it's not judgy. It's a reality.
The intention is always better than the reality.
Yeah, the reality is you're not going to get as many guests visiting you as you think. Maybe in the first year you might, but after that it kind of peters out.
You might have that one friend who loves to come down, but that third cousin once removed that heard you were moving and were like, oh, we can't wait to come down and see it. They're never coming.
Yeah,
they ain't coming.
So when you factor this in, you're going to be paying for a space, So people who come down maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times a year, you get guests. You're paying if you have electricity, you have to pay the electricity, extra rent for a bigger place, all of that kind of stuff. When over time, it might actually just be less expensive for you to rent them a little Airbnb down the road.
Yeah.
When they come visit.
That gives you their privacy and your privacy. And you can all, hook up just right there in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that's a suggestion that we offer is, think about that. Am I willing to pay, 25% more rent just to have a room that might get used? Or can I save that money and rent them a room? Or maybe let them rent their own room if they can afford it. Especially if they really want to come, they'll rent their own space.
Yeah.
Of course, we all want to be hospitable. You can always sleep on the couch and give them your bed. But think about over renting or overbuying when your budget's tight.
And that takes us into number 4, which we touched on a little bit in number 3, but number 4, living style, the house, furniture, food, all of that kind of stuff. So the first thing I'm going to say is the vast majority of rentals here, even the vast majority of homes that you buy here, are fully furnished.
Yeah.
So
it was actually hard for us to find a house that was not furnished because we've been collecting some furniture. And the best we could do is do a sparsely furnished house.
Yeah.
And then rearrange.
Yeah. So, that's something to really think about is especially if you're going to be renting and you want to move all of your stuff down here, look at the market, because if you're bringing all your stuff down here and you're just renting, it's going to start limiting the houses that you can rent.
And it might seem like, I want all of my things around me. But once you get here and you're living in a different culture, a different climate, a different style of home, and you're like, those couches don't fit in this room, or that dining set doesn't match my house decor. You really need to start thinking about, when you're deciding to keep things, what am I going to want? Am I going to really embrace the style of Mexican furniture? Even if I can afford it, do I want to go buy some there and have something that really is different in my life?
Or look at it from, like I was talking to someone the other day, a lot of us have grown to see it as an opportunity. If I move every few years, I get a whole new house, brand new decor, all of that fun stuff. You kind of get to, it's interesting. It doesn't have to be the same stuff until you die.
Yeah. And there is a difference in things here as well. So there's not the glut of things that there is in the States. People are much more careful with their things. They repair them. Or they just, they'll use, if some people don't have a toaster, they have a toaster oven and they toast their bread in there. They toast their, they cook their pizzas in there. You don't have every single item. And sometimes the availability of things is a little difficult too. You might have to order it. You might have to go to Guadalajara to get it. Just not available in this small town.
Yeah, and I think over time it's going to change the way that you think about things, because you don't need most of the stuff that they make you buy in the U.S.
No,
you just don't.
And you don't live indoors here as much.
Right.
You live out in the community. You live outdoors in your outdoor space. You'll sit and read outdoors. Maybe you've got a pool. Maybe you're at a friend's house and you're out on under their palapa.
Even if I'm in my office working, I have my sliding glass door open, the windows open, the door. Everything is open.
I'm just trying to be close to electricity. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But it is a very different way of life, and you need to consider: am I going to want to embrace that, or am I just bringing things down to make myself feel comfortable?
Yeah. And so that is a good way to move into number 5. What are you going to do? So we get asked this question a lot. And the biggest thing is, what I'm going to say is, a lot of people, it's changing. The average age, the demographics are shifting downwards. We're doing tours with more people who have children that are considering moving down here. So we're actually seeing a lot of this firsthand.
Yeah, we're seeing definitely a change, a shift. It's not just every 10th person we talk to. It's like every 4th.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. And so while that's happening, most of those people who are coming down in those age brackets, they have remote work. They're going to be able to work from here, all of that kind of stuff. But so this is really geared more towards the people who are planning on retiring and moving down here.
Yeah.
And one of the big questions we get asked is, what am I going to do? And this is something you really need to think about, because you've worked your career. You've done the, I say 9 to 5 with a smile and a twinkle in my eye, because most of us know it's actually about 12 hours a day.
It's just 6 to 6, yeah.
Right. You've been doing that your whole life. And so all of a sudden that's going to stop. And it's a struggle.
You're going to get down here, and you're going to be planning your move and exploring the area and learning things and doing all this stuff. But for us, even after a couple of years, you're like, okay, I'm good. I don't want to go to the Malecon every day. I don't want to go to Centro every day, and it stops. The newness wears off. You still appreciate it. But what are you doing with your day? What are you doing with your time?
Well, and the thing is you need to be, I guess what I'm trying to say is you really need to be cognizant. Think about this before it happens. You're not going to have a plan. Don't try to make a plan. You just need to be aware that you're going to go through some difficulties. Craig was telling...
You're talking more about the internal emotional drama. I was talking about the, what am I doing?
And you always say that I'm the factual numbers guy. Here I am talking about the heart and all this.
Well, you don't have one, so it surprises me.
Go away. So it's funny because this all kind of, this conversation where I'm going from, actually came up because of a conversation he was having with a friend of ours who came over today to work on a project. And so most of my career, I was in management, executive level management, that sort of stuff. And, all of a sudden, I managed our move down here. Nothing against Craig. He was getting the house ready to sell.
I was managing the house.
He was doing all that sort of stuff. I was making decisions about packing and paperwork and getting residency and doing all of that sort of stuff. So I had a big project that I was managing, right? I'm wrapping up my career. I'm managing this big project of us moving down here and all of that. And we get here, and so it's over, right? So not that I cognitively didn't understand what to do or anything like that. It's just my nature of what I'd been doing most of my adult life. Everything just switched. And so I started managing Craig.
Or the dog.
And the neighbors. And the house. Oh, the neighbor. I really don't beat him as much as I want to.
You heard it.
But, it was funny because he was telling our friend, he was like, it was just weird because, he went from doing all of this management, that's how he lived his life, to nothing. And so you get in, you want to be in your comfort zone. And so I just started managing him and the household and all of that sort of stuff. And so after a while, he had to sit me down. He's like, you're struggling.
You need a hobby.
You don't know what to do. This is what's going on. What's making you feel like this? And I had to really go through it and think about it. And so that's something to think about. My point is, we're trying to give you some funny stories and whatnot. But the point is if you're retiring and moving down here, think about it, because you are going to go through, whether you are recognizing that you're having emotional turmoil, it's still going to be in there. And you need to think about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it is a thing.
Yeah, it is.
And for him, just one last thing on that, he's done really, really well with finding things to do. First of all, for our channel, he's amazing at that. But also he does some amazing ceramics and gets involved in lots of stuff outside of the house, and so I actually applaud him for that.
Oh, thank you.
And sometimes he leaves and it's quiet, and I just enjoy the quiet, and I edit.
Yes.
Love you.
I love you.
Next,
too.
I'm going to take this one. So we're going to talk about number 6. So you are moving to an area where there are a lot of gringos. Yes, absolutely. But
if you move here to Ajijic.
Yeah, if you're moving to Ajijic. And in many places that people choose to move abroad, they end up in a expat or immigrant area. Those people are going to be from everywhere, all over the world, all over the place. And you're going to experience a lot of different personalities and a lot of different ways of living and what people believe. And you're going to have to really be not necessarily tolerant, but it can take you back once in a while.
You need to be open-minded. Tolerant is not even a good word.
That's an East Coaster, and they're going to think differently because their lifestyle was different than mine was, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's very, very important, and I stress that Tolerating, I hate that word, because it just has such a negative connotation.
Nobody wants to be tolerated.
No, be open-minded and understand. You need to understand that the way that you have always done something is not always going to be the right way to do it.
It may be right for you.
Regardless of what you think. It may be right for you, and maybe that's the way that you got through your life or whatever, but you are in a different place. So maybe the way that you did something where you came from worked for there, but it wouldn't work here.
Yeah, and specifically with this place in mind, which this is a little risky, but I'll try to be nice about it.
Are we about to get a bunch of hateful comments?
Probably. No, but the reason that I mention this is because it really does play into where we are. It tends to be that the people who come here to this area, what we see, is a little more of a liberal mindset. Okay? So people are a lot more live and let live, less, they might be fiscally conservative, but they're not. You know, they didn't really dive into all of that in the politics and all of that. And so they're open, they're more free with how they speak. And they're not, this is the way it is, you know, as far as politics goes.
No, and that most people who move down here, you know, expat, immigrant, whatever you want to call yourself, kind of mind their own business. We all help each other. We're all in each other's lives. It's a very wonderful, amazing community and everything. But people ain't down here telling you, you know, what you should be doing, how to live your life. And the funny thing is, I actually do get this. I get asked this a lot from our customers and our subscribers and stuff. They're like, well, I just assumed, you know, Mexico is such a big Catholic country that it would be just really, really conservative. And I think that word conservative, especially coming from people from the United States,
that's a different meaning.
It has a very different connotation in the U.S. You know, in the U.S., a lot of religious organizations feel like they have the right to try to pass laws to make everybody live their life the way they want them to live it, and all of that sort of stuff. And that's really not the case down here. I jokingly tell people Mexican Catholicism is just very different than Catholicism in the U.S. or Europe or South America or whatever. And what I see here is there's such a generosity of spirit, helping the immigrant, helping the poor, doing all of these sorts of things, which that's tied directly to the conservative Catholic Church, quote unquote, whereas in the U.S., those are called liberal ideas.
Right.
So, you know, you need to be, I use that as an example because the word that you're using may not accurately describe a situation down here.
Well, and to throw out a little bit as a shift on that is I heard a Mexican person tell me this. They're like, oh, absolutely. Within our own families and within, you know, our grandmothers and our mothers and fathers and stuff, they may be very, very traditional in their belief systems, but they're never going to tell you to do it because they're not so much worried about what God thinks of you. They're more worried about what God thinks of them. So let me pay attention to myself and you take care of you. And so it doesn't affect outwardly. It affects you more inwardly and within your own circle. So I've seen that a lot down here now. Yes, of course, every extreme will exist.
Oh, of course. Yeah, anywhere you go, yeah.
But on the whole, it's a little more. And then think about the people who would move to another country. You know, if you're buying into some of the rhetoric that's happening up north, then, where we live is just terrible, right? So those people would never move here. So
you'd think
maybe a majority right. Of some of those. There are some, but you know, it does skew the numbers a little more left.
How about a whole lot more?
Yeah.
I'm going to say a whole lot more. And yeah. So if you're thinking about just leaving hateful comments, just don't. I'm just telling you, don't.
Oh, please do. Actually, it gives me engagement, and I love to have hateful comments where there's engagement that it doesn't register negative or positive. It just says, show this to more people. Thanks.
Okay.
And number 7, let's talk about the elephant in the room, language. Yes, Spanish-speaking country. KJ, what were you saying about that earlier?
Well, so it is a Spanish-speaking country. And so it is important for you to think about that whenever you're moving here. The vast majority of expats and immigrants that I know who move down here, or even are visiting, snowbirding, all of that sort of stuff, are trying to learn Spanish, or they've learned enough Spanish to where they're able to communicate their needs and get around, right?
Or they have become proficient in using a translator app on their phone, or a translator, the website, or something like that.
Google Translate on your phone is wonderful. Everyone here knows how to use it. So you can literally have a conversation on a phone. Type. You can even speak into it, and it just translates it. It's really beautiful. So that's what I was going to get to that, because if there are some people, everybody learns different. Everybody learns how to do different things. There are going to be people watching this video who just do not have the capability of learning a second language.
Or it's very difficult for them.
Yeah. It's very difficult, or they just don't have the ability to. And I can't fault someone for lacking an ability.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't fault them for that. And so what I'm saying is, if you truly do not have the ability to learn any Spanish, then learn how to use the app on your phone. It's going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to make everybody's lives a lot easier.
I mean, you've heard the stories, and we've told the stories, and other people tell them all the time. You get somebody walk into a store, and it's a person who doesn't, maybe it's a 16-year-old kid working there. They don't speak English, and they just start screaming at them and yelling at them in English, like louder is better. I don't know.
Yeah, getting louder and louder and louder in a language that somebody else does not understand is not going to miraculously make them understand that language.
And yes, I've caught myself like trying to enunciate or something, and I'm like, I'm kind of doing that thing. But it's definitely not continued. It's not just like, why don't you understand? And then walk out in a huff going, you need to learn English because I live here. No.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we've actually gotten comments from people before and everything. And if you're coming down here and you don't speak any Spanish, and your philosophy is, well, they should all learn to speak English because I'm the one bringing the money. And they need to learn English to talk to me because I'm the one paying for everything. You need to rethink if you're coming down here. If you are trying, if you just know a few simple little words in Spanish, which most people should be able to do, and you're trying, if they know English, they're going to see you struggling and they're going to start talking English to you.
Right.
You're going to be able to communicate and everything. But if you walk into a conversation with an attitude of arrogance and that sort of thing, even if they know English, guess what? They're not going to speak it to you.
No, if you walk in and say, excuse me, I need somebody to speak English, and you got an attitude and all that stuff, they're going to be like, oh, no hablo español, no hablo inglés.
No.
And then you're going to walk out and they're going to look over to me and I'm going to go, what a jerk. And they're going to go, yeah, I know, right?
Human nature still exists.
It still exists. It may be right or wrong. But no, I mean, on the whole, people are very helpful. If you try to use it, they'll even correct you. They'll explain to you. They'll, point, do whatever they need to do if you're trying.
Yeah. And the cool thing about like the particular area we live in here, the Lake Chapala area, I tell people all the time, this is like a living language laboratory, living language learning laboratory, 4 L's. Because
in our next video,
right, so many Mexicans here that are native Spanish speakers are trying to learn English, and then you have so many native English speakers that are trying to learn Spanish, and it's just a constant intercambio. Everyone's always helping and teaching, and like if you go to a restaurant and you're practicing your Spanish, and the wait person starts speaking to you in English, it's not that they're trying to shift the conversation to English. They're practicing with you. It's an opportunity.
Now, I want to say, please don't overestimate the English that's here either. Even though there is a lot of English here, and there's a lot of expats and immigrants that speak English, and a lot of Mexicans. Do not overestimate that. On a daily basis, I use Spanish. Some days I spend my entire day in Spanish. Now, I know I interact and I go places that's necessary, but that's not always an option. Sometimes it's just you don't run into anybody speaking English.
Yeah, and it's the truth is to kind of jump right off of what you were saying. If you only speak English, like I'll reverse it. So Craig and I speak pretty decent Spanish conversationally. I feel 95% comfortable going anywhere into any building in any situation and being able to communicate what I need. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to pull out my Google Translate, but I feel 95% confident in all of that. But it's because I've been learning
for years.
If you come down and you don't know any Spanish and you're not willing to learn any Spanish or anything, like Craig was saying, the number of places you're going to go and interact with is going to be very small, and you're not going to get the full richness and vibrancy of this whole area.
So I guess the message there is to embrace it.
Yeah.
Try. You'll sound stupid sometimes. You'll make mistakes. It's okay. And it's going to go so much further than you ever could imagine. And your world's not going to be as small.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, and here's a hit. Yeah. Everyone down here is trying to learn another language, so we all sound like idiots. Yeah. And we love it, and it's fun.
It does. It gets fun, and it gets comfortable after a while.
We have a lot of fun with it.
So let's wrap up, and let's talk about maybe a little bonus thing, but really kind of bring it all together. Is as a result of all of these things we've talked about, one of the big key things is that you are going to change. So whether we're talking about what furniture you bring down, what healthcare you choose, or
learning not to manage your husband,
or who you interact with down here, you're going to change. Your desires, your needs, your wants, your very home will change, and you're also moving from one situation to another where everything is changing, and so you just need to understand that that's going to be a constant part of your life. Is change. And embrace it. The more you try to make it exactly everything that you came with and keep it there so your life never changes, the more it's going to resist.
It is. Yeah. And that's it. It's something to think about. You're going to change. Yeah. And if you're not open and willing to change, moving to another country is probably not the best option for you.
I would encourage you to second guess that. Or start working on yourself to make some changes or to allow changes into your life. That was a lot.
It was.
You had thoughts on that today.
I did.
Yeah.
I had a lot of thoughts. It's been building all week.
It's been building. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Never mind. Just release the tap up here. Let him go. No. Everything.
They like to hear from me too sometimes.
Oh, I think it's funny. You were very passionate.
Yes.
Very passionate about this topic.
I'm a very passionate man.
Justly so. So let's introduce you to our little... Introduce you to this thing. Again, hi, this is Jojo. She's been in the sticker bushes.
Y'all saw the video last week about Jojo the dog. Yes. Oh, girl, you need a bath.
She's been in the sticker bushes.
Yes, she has.
So... Jojo, tell the people. It's over there. Tell the people.
Tell
them.
Say, if you haven't already, go find your truly remarkable life. Bye.